Hello, my name is Madison Adanawang, and I'm going to be representing the National Debate Club on the negative side. I'm going to be the first speaker, and then my partner's name is Rebecca Lee, who's going to be the second speaker. Okay, if everyone is ready, then I'm going to start. I'm going to start talking about my arguments. Is everyone ready? Okay, great. I'm good. My timer starts on my first word. Our first contention is that presidential authority is necessary for rapid response and national security. Presidents need the ability to act quickly because modern threats don't wait for Congress. As commander-in-chief, the president is expected to respond immediately in emergencies, and history shows why. Ronald Reagan sent troops to Grenada within days to protect Americans, and Barack Obama approved the mission against Osama bin Laden without waiting because delays could have cost lives. Experts like the Council on Foreign Relations explain that today's threats, terrorism, cyber attacks, and missile strikes, happen in hours, not weeks. So if presidents had to wait for Congress every time, we could have missed a chance to stop an attack and put Americans' lives at risk. If Congress must approve every deployment before action, the U.S. loses critical response time, undermining deterrence and allowing threats to materialize. Legislative gridlock, scheduling delays, and political division means Congress often cannot act quickly enough in real-time crisis. Delays in decision-making cost lives. A slow response gives adversaries time to attack, relocate assets, seize territory, or take hostages. In high-speed conflicts, missing even a short window can result in catastrophic loss of life and weaken national security, meaning immediate presidential authority is essential. Sorry. A second contention is that deterrence depends on credible immediate response authority. Strategic deterrence theory shows that adversaries are less likely to act aggressively if they believe the U.S. can respond quickly and without bureaucratic delay. If executive power is weakened so that presidents must wait for congressional approval before acting, adversaries may time attacks for congressional recesses or periods of political stalemate, knowing the U.S. will be legally hamstrung. This has been widely noted in historical analysis and contemporary reporting. For example, the Reuters reported in March 2026 that the House rejected a war powers resolution to force presidents to seek congressional authorization to act against Iran, illustrating that even Congress itself resists prior approval constraints in active crisis. Requiring prior congressional approval weakens U.S. deterrence by signaling delays and political constraints, making aggression more likely. Weaker deterrence increases the probability of conflict rather than decreasing it. Instead of preventing war, executive authority helps keep peace by discouraging adversaries from aggressive actions because they know the U.S. can respond swiftly. Our third contention is that historical precedent confirms that prior congressional approval is not required and that presidents act to protect national interests. A long line of presidents, both Democratic and Republican, have used military force without prior congressional authorization. According to the Congressional Research Service, U.S. presidents have engaged in hundreds of military actions abroad without formal declarations of war, demonstrating a consistent pattern. Examples include Harry S. Truman in Korea, Eisenhower in Lebanon, Clinton in Kosovo, and Barack Obama in Libya, each acting without prior congressional approval, often citing urgent national interest or international obligations. If Congress takes too long with deciding an action, then thousands of lives will be murdered, like the Rwandan genocide, where 800,000 people died while the international community stalled over terminology, and proves that institutionalizing deliberation as a prerequisite for action creates fatal delays causing 400 lives per hour. This bipartisan historical pattern demonstrates that requiring congressional approval before action would dramatically restrict the U.S. military's ability to act in real time and could jeopardize American strategic interests at the first sign of danger. History shows that immediate executive action saves lives, prevents escalations, and fulfills defense obligations when Congress is unable or unwilling to act quickly. Removing this historical flexibility would significantly diminish U.S. global leadership and strategic responsiveness. This contention wins on historical legitimacy and real-world functionality, and this is why you should vote for NEC. Thank you.
All right. My name is Josh. I am the first speaker on Potomac KK, and I will begin my constructive affirmative case on my first word. I just want to confirm, is everyone ready? All right, great. Then I will start on my first word. Judges, just last month, the United States launched coordinated attacks on Iran, starting a war that killed American soldiers and bombed a school that killed 168 schoolgirls. According to the Pentagon itself, there was no intelligence that Iran was going to attack us first. This is what unchecked presidential war power looks like. There is no better example for the affirmative than what has happened lately, and that is simply why we affirm. Our sole contention is stopping the bleeding. There is a reason why our Constitution gave the Congress, not the President, the power to declare war. But as Lee explained, successive presidents have used vague authorizations to wage war in at least 7 countries against enemies Congress had never foresaw. Going by Congress has been a complete farce, shown by the fact that only 56 current House members were even present for the 2001 vote that has been used to justify decades of Middle East forever wars. Lee reports this legal fiction being used to fund a permanent war machine that has cost taxpayers $32 million every single hour. But the problem goes way past money. Stam shows that there's a worsening effect at work. Every president who acts unilaterally lowers the threshold for the next one. Each extraordinary action becomes the new normal. Congress and the courts have tried to push back with doctrines and laws, but none of it has worked. That is dangerous for a specific reason. The phenomenon that where a group of people care more about adhering to consensus in the group rather than actually making necessary decisions. This is called groupthink. Ricciuti explains that the executive's national security apparatus is uniquely vulnerable to it due to homogenous leadership being insulated from outside perspectives and punishing dissent. Even worse is groupthink is unchecked, as there is no source of accountability on the decisions they make. The result of groupthink is a significantly higher chance of making mistakes. Wayne proves to be true. Vietnam, Iraq, the Bay of Pigs, the Iran Rescue Mission, Libya, Somalia are just a couple of events that were made by small groups of people from groupthink. Affirming fixes this. Kennedy explains that outside voices such as Congress are what reduces groupthink in presidential decision making. This is true, especially as Congress is a much larger body and is more directly beholden to the people. Certain proves this to be true, as Congress is more peaceful and much less likely to drag us into wars. The most recent example from Iran directly proves this, as we know from Shepard that Congress would not have initiated the current strikes on Iran. Letting Congress put a stop to these foreign deployments are important, as Whitehead reports that America's forever wars hurt both America and the rest of the world alike. It puts the US $10 trillion in debt and makes the world more dangerous, creating a loop where every conflict we start demands we start another. Khan furthers that even if it has no impact on intentional conflict, because groupthink leads to more mistakes, it reduces the possibility of errors. That is very important, as any miscalculation in today's age can start a chain of events that creates a worldwide war. More so than just reducing miscalculation is eliminating misintelligence. Because the president is the only one that controls what happens and thus is the intelligence that is shared. The Iraq War literally illustrates this. Matthews shows that the intelligence community actually stripped uncertainty and dissenting agency views from the report Congress received before the vote for Iraq. This means that we went to war on an entire lie. That same pattern is playing out today. Halterwanger documents the Trump administration offering contradictory justifications for the Iran war. Even worse, Stewart confirms that the Pentagon privately acknowledged that there is no intelligence that Iran planned to strike first. Fortunately, by affirming, Ayub reports that this allows for transparency and improves national security. It also ensures that the will of the people are protected and thus stops the flow of forever wars. This strengthens, not reduces, American might too. The most recent conflict with Iran literally proves this. Mansour highlights that despite missile strikes, assassinations, and threat from the US, Iran still did not take American might seriously. This is because they know that it's the decision of just one person. In contrast, affirming solves, as Waxman reports, that when Congress authorizes force, threats become more credible to adversaries because they reflect genuine national will, not just one man's impulse. And this makes countries respect us more and protect American national security. Judge, unchecked presidential power has been a failure, so to stop the bleeding, we affirm. Thank you. I
I think
think
it's
one of the
Cross.
judges left.
Oh. Should we move on with Crossfire, or should we wait for the judge to come back?
I'm not sure, actually.
I think we should wait. I think there's not much. I'm not sure the exact rules on judges leaving, but pretty sure there's a 10-minute time to fix technical problem. Okay, yeah, she's back.
Oh, I think they're back. Yeah.
You can wait for her.
Sorry about that, guys. I am back. Might need to have my camera off for the next few speeches, though.
That's all right.
No worries.
Is everyone ready for Crossfire?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then is it okay if I have the first word?
Yeah,
first
of course.
question? Okay. Then my timer starts with my first word. Okay, so if an American embassy is overrun and civilians are being executed on live stream, does your plan require the president to wait for a 535-member congressional debate before sending a rescue team?
Not necessarily. We basically aren't trying to replace the president directly. We are saying that Congress is still basically we just want to have more of a check on the president. That's like our main point. So in a time of crisis, we're obviously going to have the necessary like actions being done.
Okay, so you agree that there still needs to be some sort of immediate action that needs to be taken?
I mean, of course, and we aren't saying that we're replacing the president, obviously, because we're not getting rid of the president. We're just saying that Congress has a role in decision making in comparison to the president just running their mind. Yeah, and wait one sec.
If you want, you can have the next question.
Yeah, I'll take the next question. Thank you. Okay, so my first question is, if deployment is genuinely necessary and has public support, why wouldn't Congress approve of it?
Wait, like, what do you mean by like why wouldn't Congress approve of it?
Okay, I mean like, I don't really know how I can like rephrase that. Actually, I'll just like change. I'll just like sort of flip the question. Sorry. Okay, I'll just go back to like your Bin Laden example, for example.
Okay.
Like, your Bin Laden example was like a narrow targeted raid, not like a long-term foreign deployment, right?
Well, like, what happened is that like basically Obama kind of sent out like a secret like plan to capture Osama bin Laden. Because because the plan was to make sure that Osama bin Laden didn't escape from his hiding spot, and if the plan like if Obama didn't do that plan, then Osama bin Laden would have escaped and then continued to do more of those terrorist attacks, and everything would just go down from there.
Right, but then in like, I'm just confused as to how that like prevents Congress from being able to like take an action. For example, like if it was an AF world, then wouldn't it be better if this was like more well thought out? Because Congress would have had like a say and decided.
Yeah, but if Congress has a say, it would have taken too long because this would happen in like kind of like less than like in hours or in fewer than like minutes because Osama bin Laden is literally like hiding during 9/11 and he was one of the main attackers for 9/11, and if we wait for Congress to take action or decided an action to kind of capture him, he would have already escaped already from his hiding spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's almost time.
Yeah, I think that's time.
All right, I will be going case by case. No prep time taken. So my timer will start on my first word. Judge, extended this round comes down to one question of comparative institutional error. Do we reduce war by concentrating power in a single executive for speed or by reducing miscalculation risk through institutional checks? They assume that unilateral presidential action prevents war, and we prove that assumption is factually and logically wrong because it increases groupthink-driven miscalculation and escalation risk against their argument. So first, when they say speed prevents war, it's a false causality because their entire contention collapses on a non sequitur. They assume that faster executive actions equals to fewer wars. So they provide zero causal evidence linking speed to reduced war probability. So empirically, rapid unilateral action is associated with escalation cycles. For example, Iraq war was based on faulty intelligence, which led to a prolonged war. Libya intervention was led to a rapid escalation and leading to state collapse. The killing of Soleimani and the strike, immediate escalation risk with Iran, right? So speed does not prevent war, it increases the decision error frequency under uncertainty, which is the only pathway to large-scale escalation. So this is a clean dropped internal link. They never prove that the speed reduces the miscalculation. Number two, their entire groupthink argument backfires on them, because when they claim that, oh, Congress increases groupthink and makes war more likely, this is internally contradictory and non-unique. So their claim assumes that a smaller executive means that there's less groupthink, but political science evidence shows the opposite, because smaller decision-making bodies are more prone to groupthink due to reduced dissent channels. So this is consistent with Janus groupthink theory, which is the IR political science literature.
Wait, I think my opponent froze. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, me too. Wait, I'm trying to contact her right now.
Like I heard up to groupthink and then she just froze.
Yeah, so I think reading the rules right now, and each team has a total of 10 minutes of tech time to fix technical issues.
Wait,
And
can my
yeah,
can my partner like speak through my my speaker, because I'm on call with her? So is it okay if she delivers her rebuttal through my like microphone, if that's okay?
can we hear clearly through that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can speak.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me through your phone?
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Can you start over though? Just
Yeah.
restart the speech.
Okay, I'm gonna try to reconnect to the thing.
But no, just restart your rebuttal right now. Wait, she said that her like entire case like froze, so
Dude, I'm like,
I
my
don't know.
case is freaking.
Wait, so I don't know, does this count towards our prep time? I'm so sorry.
10 minutes of tech issues, right? That's what Jay said. So
Okay.
just run the clock on 10 minutes here.
Okay, thank you. Just wondering, is it okay if my partner kind of tells her rebuttal like on speakerphone, like through my phone, because I'm on call with her?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, here's my partner on speakerphone.
So from the beginning, my timer is going to, okay, I don't have the timer right now, but I'm going to pull one up on my phone. My speech will start on my first word. Judge, we're going to collapse this round to one question of comparative institutional risk. Do we reduce catastrophic war by prioritizing executive speed or by reducing unilateral miscalculation risk through congressional checks? They assume that speed equals safety. This is a non sequitur and a false equivalence. And at the end of the day, they completely ignored my partner's argument because when my partner said that wait, hold on, let me. Okay, so they assume that faster executive actions equals fewer wars, but they provide zero causal evidence linking speed to reduce war probability. So empirically, rapid unilateral action is associated with escalation cycles. For example, the Iraq war was based on faulty intelligence, which led to a prolonged war. The Libya intervention was led to rapid escalation and then later to a state collapse. The killing and the strike in Soleimani was completely an immediate escalation risk with Iran. So speed does not prevent war. It increases the decision error frequency under urgency, which is the only pathway to large-scale escalation. This is a clearly dropped internal link. They never proved that speed reduces miscalculation. So they also claim.
Wait, I can't hear anymore.
Can you hear me?
Wait, you're like really
I
quiet.
can hear now.
Also, I think one of the judges left, like from one of their
Speak louder.
devices or something.
I'm still here. I'm still
Oh,
here.
okay.
I
Oh,
think
it was
it
your
was.
other one.
Can you hear me? I'm screaming.
Yeah, I think it was just
we
my
can
other
hear you.
account.
Okay, so the claim that the Congress increases groupthink, it makes war more likely. This is internally contradictory and non-unique because their claim it assumes that their smaller executive equals less groupthink. But political science evidence shows the opposite because smaller decision-making bodies are more prone to groupthink due to reduced dissent channels. This is consistent with Janus groupthink theory and small cohesive decision units to suppress dissent, which is higher error rates in crisis decisions. Empirically speaking, the Vietnam escalation was led by the executive framing, which also then led to the institutional reinforcement loop. So Congress is not increasing groupthink. It is structurally only after that introduces external dissent. So also their claim that Congress would not have authorized the Iranian strikes in the Middle East war, this is assertion without comparative evidence because Congress has historically authorized war, for example, the Iraq war, which is congressional authorization based on executive intelligence framing, and the AUMFs in 2001 for ongoing military expansion over decades. So Congress is absent. It's reactive and completely deliberate. So their entire contention one relies on a false equivalence between speed and safety, but every empirical example they cite actually never proves the opposite. Rapid unilateral decision-making increases groupthink, reduces information correction, and raises the probability of catastrophic miscalculation. That turns their entire case. Thank you. Okay, do you have my case, Madison? Wait.
I think that was like the end of her rebuttal.
Can you hear me?
Were you guys able to hear that? Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Okay, great.
Okay, I'll be using running prep for my rebuttal starting now. Okay, that was 1 minute and 20 seconds. So as an off-time roadmap, I'm going to be going down their case, frontlining, and then doing a bit of weighing. Is everyone ready? All right, my time will begin on my first word. On their first contention about rapid response, first delinked because bipartisanship and consensus surrounding foreign policy has been consistently high, according to American University. From 1991 to 2020, Congress has consistently performed very well on foreign policy issues, and gridlock is empirically lower than compared with domestic policy. Second, no link. Even if there is perceived gridlock, Congress still effectively passes laws, according to Vanderbilt University. A study going back to 1993 found that legislators were able to find ways to pass laws despite political and procedural disruptions. Third, onto speed. Congress is faster than the president, which solves their link, and empirics break the clash. According to Fleshman 12, Congress and pre-authorization is speedy. The president is required to wait 15 days. Congressional period is limited to 14 days, and the longest deliberation was 17 days. So accurate information under the resolution will allow Congress to act faster. Fourth turn, because congressional authorization solves overstretch by making threats credible and generates legal clarity on the role of the executive. Legislative institutions enable political opponents to have a more immediate and informed impact on the executive decisions regarding force. Presidents anticipating dissent will be more selective in issuing threats, which completely solves the issue of brash one-man decision-making powers causing irreversible damage. This restraining effect makes threats more credible and actually boosts deterrence, turning their argument. Fifth turn, because centralizing decision-making, meaning all powers in one hand, undermines prevention and slows crisis response, especially involving critical infrastructures. This centralization creates bottlenecks that prevent nimble responses to emerging challenges, as evidenced by the sluggish adaptation to numerous crises. We have seen this through the FAA, cascading failures and delayed response to air traffic controller shortages, the completely neglected safety standards of the East Palestine Railway, etc. The unitary executive theory completely fails and consolidates authority without proving outcomes. Historical evidence suggests that effective governance emerges not from the concentration of power, but from thoughtfully designed systems that balance democratic accountability with professional expertise and rapid response capabilities with distributed implementation. On their contention, too, on deterrence. Turn because legislative constraints actually enhance deterrence through unity. According to Ramsey 18, modern war powers authority suffers from the perception that it completely lacks the rule of law. That's regard to any presidential military action. Multiple voices claiming the president is acting illegally and the AF solved. The likely result of greater judicial involvement would be greater cooperation between the president and Congress, as the president would be in a stronger position directing a unified rather than a unilateral military action. Second turn, because presidential authority erodes international norms on the use of force, which links into far more worse escalation scenarios. According to Hathaway 13, largely unbridled presidential power and loose limits on presidential war powers has resulted in not only erosion of congressional authority, but also erosion of international law, in which other states capitalize on the legal space that the United States claims create. Third turn, because it is a try or die for the F. Iran has been incentivized to develop its nuclear programs despite not having that incentive before Trump struck Iran. This is a critical link, proving that unchecked presidential flex causes nuclear miscalculation and foreign wars. Even worse, Congress has not approved a force since 2002, and the U.S. has certainly not been at peace in the 2 decades since. As we've seen a $10 trillion increase in debt and 500,000 humans dead. Onto front lines. They say that rapid unilateral action exacerbates escalation cycles. This directly supports our side. The killing of Soleimani, as they said, directly triggered escalation. We see this again in Iran. Brash strike powered by AI led to innocent civilians being struck twice. Allies are de-risking and cutting ties with the US faster than ever. Vietnam was spearheaded by the executive branch, as they said. AF uniquely solved the requirements of deliberation, put a brake on the process of entering into a conflict, dragged into war at the single person. It's not much of a democracy at all. Again, they're so directly support our side. Each hour, $32 million of taxpayer money is burned, and there have already been 500,000 deaths. Compare this with their impact of deterrence, which is short-term, and we actually solve for by repairing our credibility on the global stage. We must repair our geopolitical standing before unchecked unilateral authority causes irreversible damage. Vote affirmative.
Can you put me on speaker for cross?
Yeah,
Let me know when I'm
speaker.
on. Okay. So my timer isn't working on right now, so I trust that you guys will time it.
Okay, I'll start the timer on your first
Yeah?
word. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take the first question, or can I take the first question?
You can take the first question since you spoke first.
Okay, so you claim that Congress can be less prone to groupthink, but if it's more, isn't it more partisan and fragmented? Because research on Congress from the Cornell University, so it shows increasing polarization since the 1960s inside of Congress.
No, we actually argue that Congress is less polarized than the executive branch because with the executive branch, you have this restricted cabinet in which the members are chosen based on loyalty to the president. Congress, on the other hand, the representatives are elected by the people and represent a wide spectrum of political ideologies. So even if polarization has increased on a general level, we still argue that Congress is the better alternative to an isolated unitary executive branch.
Do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. So can you name one instance in which presidential intervention has been beneficial to our foreign policy?
Well, we have an example of why the Congress intervention was not beneficial. For example, the Iraq War 2008 to AUMF, which was authorized by the Congress, and also Congress supported long-term engagements like Vietnam escalation funding and Gulf War authorization. But your question was about how the U.S. president intervened and it would have helped. Well, actually, one of the Rwandan genocide, which is one of these things that the president should have done, and he didn't intervene. He actually had to, through the fact that he didn't intervene, he said it was the biggest regrets of his time.
Okay, you can take a question.
Okay, isn't Congress historically the body that declares war, meaning it supports escalation? For example, the 2001 AUMF, the 2002 Iraq War authorization, and the Vietnam escalation funding?
Well, this resolution is not about declaring war. And second of all, even if Congress has the ability to declare war, that doesn't automatically mean that it supports escalation. In fact, there have been bipartisan efforts to reduce escalation because war eventually is inevitably becomes more unpopular, and congressional members are directly beholden to the will of the people.
Do you want to take a question?
So can you explain how larger bodies like Congress are more prone to groupthink?
So as I said, the research on from Cornell University, I can send the link through my phone because I'm doing this through my phone. Increasing polarization since the 1960s because members vote more strictly along party lines rather than independent judgment. And another study from Cornell University, meaning congressional behavior, finds very strong quote-unquote party blocks and internal cohesion, meaning decision-making is increasingly independently deliberative.
Okay.
So also, it actually replaces it.
Okay, that's cross.
Okay.
Okay, I'm guessing now it's time for a summary. So my time is going to start on my first word. The negative wins this round by prioritizing real-world survival and strategic agility over the affirmative's flawed reliance on legislative procedure, utilizing a weighing framework of magnitude, probability, and scope. While the AF claims their plan merely checks the president, the resolution explicitly calls to eliminate the authority to act without prior approval, a blunt instrument policy that creates a lethal time gap in national defense. We weigh response time as the most critical impact because the AF's own admission of a speedy 7-day deliberation is a death sentence in an era of hypersonic missiles and cyber attacks where windows for action are measured in minutes, not days. This creates a higher probability of failure under the AF's plan. A week-long bottleneck during a hostage crisis or a looming strike is not deliberation, but a surrender of the initiative that invites adversaries' aggression. Furthermore, we must address the AF's contradictory claims regarding groupthink and deterrence. They argue that a 535-member body reduces errors, yet history, including the 2002 Iraq authorization, proves that Congress is just as susceptible to political fervor and groupthink as any executive, but with the added burden of gridlock. The argument that congressional approval enhances deterrence through unity is a strategic fallacy because deterrence is built on credibility and speed of a response. By legally handcuffing the commander-in-chief, the AF signals to every rogue actor that the U.S. is paralyzed by its own bureaucracy. Finally, we weigh the magnitude of risk. The AF's focus on a $10 trillion debt the $10 trillion debt, a budget issue already controlled by Congress, cannot compare to the catastrophic risk of a failed deterrent or the inability to execute life-saving rescue missions. Because the president is the only official with the functional capacity to act with the energy and dispatch required for national survival, the negative provides the only path that ensures American security remains intact, and this is why you should vote for neg. Thank you.
All right. I'll be taking running prep time for summary, so I will start the timer as soon as I mute. All right. I should be good. That was 24 seconds of prep time. And is everyone ready for my summary speech? All right. I'll take that as yes. Great. I will start my time for summary on my first word. Judge collapsed this entire round to one question. Does speed make war safer, or does unchecked speed make war more reckless? Neg's entire summary depends on response time, but they never actually prove that faster presidential action reduces war. Our side proves the opposite. Rapid unilateral action increases groupthink, misintelligence, escalation, and reckless wars. First, extend our groupthink and miscalculation offense. The executive branch is uniquely dangerous because it's small, insulated, and loyal to the president. That means that fewer outside perspectives and less accountability before troops are deployed. This is how you get Iraq, Vietnam escalation, Soleimani, and now Iran. These are not hypotheticals. They are repeated examples of presidents using unilateral or stretched authority to try and escalate conflict before Congress or the public can even stop it. Neg says that the Congress is also susceptible to groupthink, but that is not comparative. Congress does not have to be perfect to be better than one person deciding war alone. Congress has 535 members across parties, constituencies, committees, and public debate. The executive is a tighter echo chamber that's centered around loyalty to one president. Even if Congress has its flaws, it adds outside scrutiny that the status quo lacks. Additionally, on solvency, the neg says that the act just claims to check the president, but our mechanism is direct approval before deployment. In the status quo, the president acts first, creates facts on the ground, and Congress reacts after soldiers are already committed. Under AFT, debate happens before the deployment, which prevents presidents from dragging the country into war and then asking for support afterwards. That changes the timing of accountability, and that is why AFT solves. Third, answer their response time argument. Neg says that speed is a death sentence if we lose it, but speed itself can be the death sentence. The Iran strikes prove this. A fast unilateral strike escalated the region, killed civilians, endangered American soldiers, and increased instability. Their emergency examples are narrow and rare, but they use them to defend broad unilateral war power for discretionary conflicts. That is a logical overreach. The AFT does not say that America can never defend itself. It says that major deployments abroad should require democratic approval before they risk war. Fourth, on deterrence, Neg says that only the president has the capacity to act. But deterrence is not just speed. Deterrence requires credibility. A threat from one president can look impulsive, unstable, and reversible. And our Waxman evidence says that congressional approval makes threats more credible because they reflect national will. That turns their argument. AFT strengthens the military actions we actually choose to take because adversaries know that the commitment is durable and not just one person's impulse. Now for weighing. Prefer AF on probability because presidential abuse is empirically proven, while Neg relies entirely on speculative deterrence collapse. Prefer AF on solvency because their approval before deployment directly checks unilateral authority before escalation starts. Prefer AF on magnitude because reckless wars kill civilians, kill soldiers, destabilize entire regions, waste trillions of dollars, and increase nuclearization and great power risks. Neg says that the real-life procedure, but real-life procedure under unilateral presidential authority has produced the forever wars that they now cite as impacts. The safest world isn't the fastest world. It's a world where where war has to survive democratic scrutiny before lives are put at risk. So for accountability, credibility, and preventing reckless future wars, we strongly urge an AFT vote. Thank you.
Okay, I think is Grand Crossfire next.
Yes.
May I have the first question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, my timer starts on my first word. Okay, so you said that in your summary that there isn't like any, I'm not like directly quoting you, but I think you said that there isn't any like evidence that presidents haven't created any like good solution or any like actual impactful actions. Is that correct or no?
I didn't say like any. I said that it's like usually not. Like basically Congress is able to produce better results because of the panel like of 535 members.
Okay, but like, how about like I have evidence of a lot of like presidents that actually have created like good actions. I know you didn't say like not any, but I actually have like a lot, including like the one from like Truman in Korea, Eisenhower in Lebanon, Bill Clinton in Kosovo, Obama in Libya, and stuff like that. So how do you like kind of like defend that? Like,
Okay,
'cause-
so basically, we're not trying to say that the president lacks, like, I guess I'm just gonna say it bluntly, the president doesn't necessarily lack a brain, as if, like, that's not what we're trying to say, that the president can't make decisions. It's just in like majority of the decisions. Like, for example, those examples are correct. Like, yes, the president has made like good impacts in those like examples. But the issue is in majority of the conflicts, and especially like in the status quo, the presidential decisions not necessarily reflecting the will of the people. And so if in an AF world where Congress has the say, that is actually what the people want. And so that's like a much better decision overall.
may I have a follow up? Just really,
Sure.
yeah, just really quick. But if it's on the will of the people, that could like take too time, right? Like too much time because, like, going back to my Osama bin Laden, like he had if the Congress takes too much time, then Osama bin Laden could have escaped, and then it could have
Yeah,
he
but
could
not
have.
necessarily because we cited 9/11 in our case, and like the 9/11 like AUM, the 2001 AUMF took only 3 days for Congress to fully like authorize and send out, and it was like a good decision.
I have a
Do you mind
question.
if I could take a question?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say, does your side have any mechanism to solve executive groupthink before deployment happens?
To solve. Wait, sorry. Can you repeat that?
Does your side have like any mechanisms that could like solve executive groupthink before like deployment actually happens? Like, because we said that like groupthink is much more prevalent in.
Wait. I'm not really like an expert in like groupthink, so I'm not really like.
Wait, can I say
yeah.
something? Status quo already contains like anti-groupthink checks. For example, the intelligence community input, the CIA, NSA, and DIA assessments, the Department of Defense internal review and Joint Chiefs analysis, like congressional funding authority for sustained operations, and media and public's like scrutiny as like a post constraint. So the idea that like the entire thing is a groupthink environment is already false because it's already a multi-agency, like very like deliberate system.
Or
I think that's fine.
That's time, yeah. Let's say. Thank you.
Yeah. It's my.
All right. It's final focus, right?
Yes.
Okay. Am I on speaker?
Yes.
Okay, so my time will start on my first word. Judge. This round resolves completely on comparative impact calculus between two decision-making models for military deployment authority. Unilateral executive action with like ex post checks versus an ex ante congressional authorization. So we win on probability, time frame, and internal link control. Number one, probability, their solvency is empirically not only unique. As my partner said, their entire informative mechanism assumes that Congress reduces war frequency via rational deliberation. Their claim is non-unique and empirically contradicted. As my partner has said, the Iraq 2002 AUMF, and I said the Vietnam escalation funding in the 2001 AUMF expansion. This demonstrates that Congress is not a structural constraint, but a post hoc legitimizing institution under security pressure. So even if their model is theoretically deliberative, the decision threshold collapses under the crisis framing, meaning that their solvency is low probability. So they do not equally reduce war initiation. At best, they reassign the authorization. Number two, their time frame. So their model introduces decision latency under crisis conditions, but our offense is very structural. As my partner said, executive authority operates under high tempo decision architecture, which is minutes to hours, right? And congressional authorization introduces multi-actor veto points, procedural delay, and agenda control bottlenecks. So in military like signaling theory, the delay increases adversary uncertainty, misperception is resolved, and escalation probability via first strike incentives. So even if Congress is marginally more deliberative, the time-sensitive nature of the military crisis would delay itself a causal risk factor for escalation. They have never responded to these claims in my rebuttal. And in my partner's summary speech, number 3, their anti-groupthink actually flips, as we said, because it's structurally incorrect. Because the party polarization equilibrium is distributed groupthink across factions and not elimination of it. So therefore, it is not better. So you should vote neg because of the non-uniqueness. Congress does not empirically reduce war initiation. Time frame advantage because their model structurally increases the decision latency, which raises the escalation, as my partner said. And therefore, under standard policymaking calculus, their model fails both the probability solvency. Thank you.
Okay, I believe I have a minute and 30 left, so I'll just do running prep. Okay, that was a minute and 7 seconds. So is anyone not ready? All right, my time begins on my first word. The affirmative prioritizes long-term global stability by instituting basic checks and balances that are fundamentally lacking in the status quo. The main question boils down to, does unchecked speed make war more reckless? We say yes for 3 main reasons. 1, the executive is isolated and 100% filled with loyalists that are chosen based on their loyalty to the president. If we win on that Congress is even the slightly better alternative, we access our links. Second, debate before deployment would have prevented irreversible damages in conflicts such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, and the current Iran conflict. Evaluate based on lives, the most irreversible high magnitude scenario. Third, strong institutional checks are a prerequisite to deterrence. Reckless unilateral action has emboldened other states to capitalize on the legal space that we have created. Why does this matter? Because power continues to channel upward and embolden other hostile actors, which directly increases escalation and perpetuates long-term global instability. Fourth, extend our Fleischmann 12 card, which goes completely conceded, which proves that Congress is indeed faster and military deliberation is strictly capped to 14 days. If NEG wants to bypass the bare minimum deliberation before lives are put at risk, this means that their side fundamentally doesn't value human lives, and you should not buy their argument. Extend our return from rebuttal that centralizing decision-making, meaning all powers in one hand, undermines prevention and slows crisis response. On to weighing. Prefer magnitude of lives and irreversible scenario over their probability weighing, which isn't warranted in the first place since presidential abuse is empirically proven while NEG relies on speculative deterrence collapse. Congress hasn't approved force since 2002. All the blood falls on the hands of the structural failures of the executive. There are empirical patterns. A $10 trillion debt skyrocket, economic collapse creates global recessions that last for generations. 500,000 innocent civilians have been dead and counting. We have met the burden of proof that the institution is currently failing, and if this simple democratic check would have prevented economic stability and prevented the irreversible loss of thousands of lives, the weighing strongly sides with the AF. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That was a really good
Thank
round.
you, everyone. Good
Thank
debate.
you so much. This is a great round, guys.
Apologize for the tech issues. I know it's like my entire browser crashed. I'm actually so sorry.
No, it's totally okay.
You guys have a great day. say